So in the pre-project work, the project has to carry out the needs assessment, business case, and a benefit management plan. So first, the project needs to clarify the needs in the project, which usually the project manager has to talk to the stakeholders and also the clients as well. And second is regarding the business case. So in the business case, a few items has to be clarified. They are the business needs, the analysis of the situation, and some recommendation of the stakeholders, and to think about how to evaluate the project. The third thing to do in the pre-project work is the benefit management plan. So in the benefit management plan, the target benefits and strategic alignment and time frame for realizing the benefits and benefits owner and the metric, assumption, and the risk, all of them have to take into account in the benefit management plan. As you can see that in the project management, there are a lot of influential factors to influence the project, and we call it the project influence. Okay, so in terms of the influences, there it can be categorized into the EEF and the OPAs. Okay, so the EEF stands for the enterprise environmental factors, which describe the environment or where the firms are involved. Okay, and the EEF will have two different perspectives, which are the external and the internal EEF. And as to the internal OPA, which is the organizational process assets, it has a lot of policies and regulations inside of a company. And also, it's related to the corporate knowledge basis. And so we will go through the detail of the EEF and the OPAs in the following slides. In terms of the project influences, it comprises two concepts. The first one is the EEFs, which is the enterprise environmental factors. So EEFs refers to the conditions not under the control of the project team that influence the project. So usually you can consider this is the EEF refers to the external factors of the company that will influence the project. And in terms of the OPA, it is the organizational process assets. And this one indicates the plans, the processes, the procedures, and the knowledge basis specifics to and used by the performance organization. And these assets influence the management of the project. So the EEF is the enterprise environmental factors, okay? And the factors could be internal or external. To the internal EEFs, there are a lot of cultural things. For example, the organizational culture, the structure, and the governance of a company. And the other one is the geographic distribution of facilities and resources. Usually, a multinational companies, will have different branches in different countries. So usually they will have a various geographic distribution of their facilities and resources, and as well as the infrastructure here. And also, usually the company will have the information technology software to help the company to facilitate and organize the company's internal resources. Okay, and the other two are the resource availability and the employee capability. And these are the critical factors in the internal EEFs. And to the external EEFs, it's much more like the activities outside of the company. So usually the marketplace condition will be taken into account that different markets have different customers or clients and regional culture that the company have to pay attention to while executing the project in these areas. And the second one is the social and the cultural influence, which can that's similar to the first one. And number three is the legal distribution. That while the company is conducting the project, you have to consider whether the project is fully executed under the local regulations or the laws. Okay, and sometimes the commercial databases has has to are important to the project management in the external EEF and academic research or the government standard or industry standard. So usually, the company can reach out to the school, especially the university, or to conduct or cooperate on a certain project. And usually, the company can apply for the government funding to conduct the emerging technology in different projects. Okay, if the company is a high tech company, for example, building up satellites or making the latest standard of communications, usually these companies have to follow the industrial standards to build their products or services. Okay, and there are some financial considerations have to pay attention to, and the physical environments. Okay, so the EF have the internal one and the external one, and these factors are very important to the company while conducting the project. So on the other side, which is the internal side of the company, is the OPA, the organizational process assets. Okay, so basically it talks about the processes, the politics, and the procedures for the IPEMC. Okay, we will talk about the IPEMC later. And basically, the OPA is a organizational knowledge basis. Okay, so what is the OPA? How can it become the assets to the company? Basically, it has to go through a process group that we mentioned earlier. So the process group is the initiating, the planning, the executing, and the monitoring and controlling, and the last one is the closing. Okay, and once the project goes through these process groups, it will become a financial data repositories and will accumulate the historical information while executing the project. And the people, I mean the teammates or the stakeholders and the project manager will have the lesson learned knowledge repositories from the project. And all of them in the process groups will be accumulated and become the organizational process assets, which is the OPA. So let's talk about the process groups, the IPEMC, the initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and the closing. So let's have a short summary of the project management here. In the project management, it is an application of the knowledge, the skills, the tools, and the techniques to project activities and to meet the project requirements. Okay, so the project management is accomplished through the appropriate application and integration of the 49 project management processes, which are categorized into 5 process groups, okay, within the 10 knowledge areas.